This is a summary of the 6th season of the Debbie and Carrie show. Sandy's first year as mayor of the town has been extremely successful, and so the town has a huge celebration over it. But not everyone feels like celebrating. Penny is so heartbroken over James leaving her to attend college at Harvard without her that she dumps him. Only a few hours later, James contacts Whitney Owen and asks her to have a one-night stand with him before he leaves for Boston. They foolishly have sex in the same place in the woods that James and Penny did. And Penny happens to be there and sees them. Yikes. James is unaware that he and Whitney were caught, and so he flies up to Boston to begin staying at the home of Jonathan and Tara Sims. Penny begins telling others about what James and Whitney did, and it isn't long before word gets to Sandy, James' mother, about the issue. When James finally talks to his mother later, she rips into him for his apparent hypocrisy, and thus he realizes he made a massive mistake. Sandy now faces a new threat, the Christian Way Academies, a company that tried to buy out the public schools of the town under Ted Anderson, but after taking office later, Sandy stopped the deal from going through, so now she will be sued over this. When Whitney comes to the Tuscany Tavern to order a meal, Penny confronts her over her affair with James. Whitney now recognizes that what she did with James was improper, and she apologizes to Penny. Then on Halloween, Whitney visits Sandy, who gives her a scolding over her affair, but also accepts Whitney's apology. Penny not only forgives Whitney, she then invites Whitney to have a love affair with Penny herself, thus creating a love triangle with James at one corner of it. Carrie's grandmother Elizabeth invites Debbie and Carrie to Los Angeles again to attend the premiere of her new movie, Lizzie Boarded Up, Her Story. Seeing them off at DFW Airport is Kelly Grimm, who is there to see her boyfriend, Matt, a pilot. Matt then tells Kelly that the co-pilot assigned to his flight was injured in an accident, and so the flight may be delayed. Unless Kelly, who is also trained to be a pilot, can take the co-pilot's place. Kelly agrees, so she puts on her police uniform to justify her boarding the plane without a ticket and joins Matt at the cockpit of the plane, thus making sure it reaches Los Angeles on schedule. Meanwhile, Sandy is visited by Denise Callie. She is the sister of Diana Callie, but their character traits are totally different. Denise is heartbroken over her father's death and her being scorned by her sister, her only living family member left, so she is now all alone. Dr. Martin Leslie tells Debbie and Carrie that his wife Darla cheated on him, and so they are separated and probably getting divorced soon. Sandy Smith and Steve Miller are also getting divorced, but for totally different reasons. The split was Sandy's idea so that Denise Callie could have the kind of loving family life her own sister denied her. This was practical since Sandy and Steve had been separated for over a year. In Dallas, the sister of Charles McKenzie has died, and soon afterwards, he and his husband Michael Jefferson gain custody of Charles' niece Annika. So Annika becomes Richard Sims' de facto cousin. In addition to attending the premiere of the movie about Carrie's grandmother Elizabeth, Debbie and Carrie spend time with their friends Vicki Jones and her husband Paul. They even appear together in an episode of The Blazing Beauty Show, which gives Debbie and Carrie additional exposure to help Debbie with her modeling career. Jessica and Lucy later learn that Tara Sims was badly injured in a car accident that also slightly wounded her daughter Helen. Wanting to help, Jessica arranges to fly up to Boston and is joined by Penny, who is eager to reconnect with James after regretting the earlier breakup between them. Jessica insists Penny help her with housework in Boston, and Penny does just that, proving her worthiness to be James' future wife. James is so impressed by Penny's devotion to him as well as her willingness to serve others that they become engaged. And Penny also wants to be a mother soon, so Debbie later arranges for Penny to learn about motherhood by becoming Richard's primary babysitter. Sandy now must go to court to battle with the Christian Way Academies over the town's schools. And she is able to beat back the company's legal challenge by agreeing to pay back the $5 million the company had paid the town earlier to get control of the schools. Later, a representative of the company arrives at Sandy's office to collect the money. And it turns out he is Paul Smith, the brother of Rich Smith. And he is a Mormon. The central characters learn that Paul Smith is principal of a Christian Way Academy in Houston. Wanting to learn all they can about him and his school, Lucy and Debbie drive to Houston. And they are astonished to see that Victoria, Lucy's sister, is a science teacher at the school, despite her being totally unqualified to teach any subject. Debbie spends her own money to buy several textbooks being used by the Christian Way Academies and takes them back with her to the town. where they are studied by Carlos Hernandez, Wayne Bentley, Carla Jenkins, Simon Wilson, and Dr. Drake. Eventually, they submit reports about the textbooks at a town hall meeting, giving details about how unsuitable the books are to give a proper education to children, thus showing how justified Sandy Smith was to reject the deal that Ted Anderson had made with the Christian Way Academies when he was mayor before Sandy. Jessica gives up ownership of the pharmacy she co-founded with Damian Chow and returns to the Tuscany Tavern as a cook and co-owner, much to Lucy's delight. And so ends the 6th season of the Debbie and Carrie Show.